Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started. Okay, last week, I hope you enjoyed the community table first part segment on developing your personal brand. For me, the key takeaway was just the definition of what personal brand is. And that is, as a reminder for you guys, that it's what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Okay, I want to say something about that.
Okay.
We're not talking about the haters because I don't care what you do, they're always going to say something.
Yeah.
But we're talking about people who really are authentic with you and are not looking to sabotage, that are genuinely trying to work with you in the workplace.
Yep.
Then those are the folks that we're talking about being concerned what they're saying about you when you're not in the room, not the haters.
This week is a continuation of the community table conversation where Lou and I, along with Walilian and Lorraine, talk about communication as it relates to the workplace. We hope that you will learn something or that it's a reminder of some things that you already know, but in either case, we'd ask that you would share the information with your family and your friends.
And also, please don't forget to subscribe to Earrings Off. We appreciate you listening, but we'd also ask that you subscribe to Earrings Off at www.earringsoff.com.
Thank you and enjoy.
What I have seen through the years is that people who are not able to communicate, people who are maybe not able to get in front of an issue before they blow up, that's a problem. And I have seen people destroy careers and reputations because of that, because they have been unable to manage conflict in the workplace. There have been some horrible examples of that.
I've seen that as well.
Yeah,
And it's real.
it's real.
And one of the things that I would recommend to anyone, something you just said, get in front of the conflict.
Yeah.
How do you do
And
that, though?
I think you have to bring a lot of courage to the workplace.
You do. You do. You
The
really
courage
do.
to communicate. Because if there's something that's not setting well with you or sitting well with you, you have the responsibility to be able to go to the person and say that. And you do it with compassion, you do it respectfully, and that's what keeps situations from becoming volatile.
Right.
Because silence is consensus.
Yes.
If you continue to engage with someone who is difficult, you don't say anything, will come again, and they will come again to the point you will be the one who will blow up, and you're going to be the one that has a tarnished brand.
Oh, it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to get in front of it.
Yeah. I agree. And I think what I learned was your point about you have to have difficult conversations.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, you do. It's not something you enjoy, and it's something you try to avoid, but at some point you have got to have those difficult conversations. And the way I always approach them was to just try to get my thoughts organized ahead of time. I would write down, okay, what's the issue? This is my interpretation of what you did or what happened. And I would actually rehearse that and plan. I would plan, okay, this is what I saw, and then also plan that person's rebuttal. What am I going to say if they said it was this? How am I going to react? How am I going to address that? I would plan all of that out. And it may appear that I was having a conversation. I was very prepared for that conversation. And I think you have to spend the time.
There's actually a book. I think it's called Crucial Conversations.
Yes.
I'm not real sure about the author, but I think there are some of the steps that you just laid out that you
Yes, they
took
are.
outlined in that book.
Yeah.
And I also think that you have to accept people where they are. When you have those conversations, not everyone may be at the same level that you are at when you have the conversation.
That's so true.
So you have to be able both up. I've had difficult conversations with those above me.
So
And in those instances, you say what you have to say, and then whatever their response is, remember they're the boss,
Right.
so you have to sort of like, okay,
Yeah.
tuck your
Yeah.
tail in
Go on.
and
Right.
go on, keep
Right.
it moving.
Right.
But that's a difficult conversation as well, because someone has done something or made you feel a certain way, and like what Lillian said, you don't want to keep quiet about it because it will build up,
Yeah.
and then you'll take it out on someone else, and that becomes ugly. When really it's this other person you should have had that conversation with,
Right.
but you silent and didn't say anything. So you have to meet people where they are,
That's good.
and then also accept what they say. Accept it, but you don't have to accept it to say, okay, I agree with it. You have to accept it and accept the fact that they have feelings, they have an opinion, they have a voice. You may not agree with it,
Yeah.
but you still give them that audience to say what they have to say.
Yeah.
And I think when you do that, you sort of open up the air,
Yeah.
and you're not doing it in public. Always, never,
Right. Right.
never,
Yeah.
never,
In-
if possible, have that kind of conversation in public. And if it's more than one, sometimes, I've had conversations where the person will say, well, so-and-so said, I said, okay, let's bring so-and-so in. And there's three of us
Yeah.
at that point, but it's in private,
Yeah.
and everybody has an opportunity to say what they need to say. Clear the air, agreeing all the time, but just clear the air, and then we can move forward. And
Yeah.
so give people an audience. So a lot of times people just want an audience.
Well, that's
so
true. They want to be heard.
yeah, so
Right.
they can open
They
up
wanna
and
be heard.
express the difficulty that they may have, and that you may have, and sort of clear the air. So I think you can have that difficult conversation
Mhm.
and be humane about it, be honest, truthful, and move on from there.
Right. Right.
Yeah, when we talk about all these things around brand excellence, one of the things, especially for younger professionals in the workplace, difficult to be good at this. Difficult because we're talking about new experiences, new relationships. And the only thing I would say is, I always tell anyone, have the power of noticing. And what that means is, pay attention to people who handle these situations well. No matter what the situation is, outside of work, because your friends can't tell you. They're going to agree with you
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah.
But find someone who you can confide in and help you to work through whatever the situation is that might end up tarnishing your brand. If it's a difficult situation, if you're not working well with people, if you're not working well with your boss, you don't know what to do in terms of creating excellence in a brand presence. People out here who are experienced in this, but have your eyes open, pay attention to who people respect, who you
That's a
see
good
doing
point.
it well,
It is.
Yeah.
and latch onto that person if they will. But you got to find someone who you can bounce these things off of, because if you're young, and I mean, there's still people my age who haven't gotten it right. But I'm just saying, just recognize the need to find someone who can help you to build your brand presence in a way that you're proud of and that you stand out in the workplace.
That's almost like saying to identify a mentor for you. And that's good if you can find that person who will mentor you, and you're able to bounce things off and have that conversation. I agree with Lillian. You need to be observant of those people in the workplace who can handle difficult conversations or difficulties,
Right.
who has a presence that you admire.
All of that.
All
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily always have to be a mentor, but just someone you can use as an example.
Yeah. Or a sounding board that you trust.
And
Yeah.
observe
Right.
at a distance as a dog, the way they handle that.
Yeah.
I think I can do
I'm
that.
gonna try that.
That's
Try
right.
that.
But you know,
Absolutely.
that's critical. But one thing that I've noticed that I think, well, I wish people would attention to or be aware of, you really can't expect that the workplace is. First of all, I would tell people, you weren't brought here because you need a job. you were brought here because the organization had a need. And so we're hoping that we can work together and that you'll get what you need out of it, but the organization has to get what it needs out of
Yes.
it. And so, but when you look at that, so many times when we talk about relationships, it's like people expect that in the workplace that everybody's their friend. It's like we have to be best buddies in here, and we have to be, we have to have our kumbaya moment, and it's really not about that. I always took the position if I made friends at work, that was a bonus, but that wasn't my goal. My goal was to try to do my job and to manage my career. And I would try to be supportive of others in that endeavor, but it was not so I could pick up a best friend. But you see that it's sort of like people they don't quite understand that in the workplace.
I think also sometimes the organization will give a wrong message, because some organizations will say, "Oh, we are family," and I hate that because you're not my family.
Yeah, right. I got a family and you're not it.
And you're not it.
Yeah.
So I think the onus is on both the employee and the employer. The employer will give that message, but then they may mistreat the family.
Right.
So you've given the employee a mixed message,
Right.
a wrong message. So they don't know how to respond.
Well, they
because
get
they're
angry.
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say confused.
Yeah.
But it is angry because, they say, well, I thought so and so, and their expectation is that the employer will take care of them when you say this is a family.
Right. That's a very good point.
Wrong message.
Yeah.
Wrong message.
Right.
Unless the employer is willing to take care of them and, say that we're a family and treat them like a family.
Right.
But I agree with Lou. I don't go to work to be your friend. I come to work because I need money.
Mm-hmm.
to
Thank
take
you,
care of
Lorraine.
my family.
To take care of your real family.
Right. If I meet a friend or two, that's
That's a
a
bonus.
bonus. That's
Yeah.
a side attraction. I call. But I don't come to work, and I've told my staff, I don't need to be your friend. I just need you to get the work done.
Yeah.
But I think the onus is on both the employee, their expectations, and the employer not to give false expectations to the employee.
Yeah. And but you're right. It's on both the employee to recognize that, it's not like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen in workplaces become far more social in the last few years.
Is that
They
right?
want to have tailgate parties. They want to have this kind of party and all that. And I'm like, understand why we're here. Understand what the expectations are in the workplace. And you're right. We're here to meet our employers' need. Mm-hmm. And hopefully we land in a space where we have managers and leaders who want to help us be successful with that. Mm-hmm. But all the socializing I've seen it grow in the last few years.
And I think some of them are using that. I think as team building, and we hear that a lot.
Loyalty.
But I would have a problem if people don't want to participate. You don't make them feel like that's something they have to do. Mm-hmm. You allow people the freedom and flexibility in that. I think.
Well, I
Right,
think
you do have to allow them that, but that's where I would say, Lillian, that it has changed. I think that is definitely a part of an employer,
Yeah.
an employee. Now, the social aspects of it, more and more people are encouraged to bring that part of them to the office as part of being diverse or diversity. And there's that expectation from some people for that in the workplace. So you have to incorporate the social.
But how are people seeing if they're not comfortable with that? Or
That's still a real problem too, because they are then shunned if they don't get involved in it and participate. Some people might feel like, oh well, that's so and so, they never socialize with us. They don't talk to us after work. But it's a hard place to be.
And
Right.
it's a real fine line.
It
I
is a
think.
real fine
It's
line.
a very fine line, because I'll go back to where, they have, this is holiday season. So, we have Thanksgiving, of course, and then we have Christmas. I don't celebrate
Right,
Christmas.
right.
I haven't in 40 years.
Yeah.
So I've tried to say to my employee, don't say Christmas, say it's winter break or holiday.
Yeah.
You don't have to necessarily
Yeah.
say Christmas.
Mhm.
And, and like you said, it's sharing. So one year we had an instance where we shared our holidays with one another. So I gave a presentation on my holidays.
Yeah.
Somebody gave a presentation on the Jewish holidays.
Yeah.
And we talked around that. That's the diversity. But it's a very fine line, and people will come to HR and say, well, I don't really want to participate in that, this, that, and the other. In the workplace, and goes to the manager has to balance it so that person who doesn't participate is not shunned,
Right, yeah.
or doesn't feel guilty, or also feels included.
Yeah.
So that's and that's, HR has evolved around that. And we've tried to help managers to recognize that not everyone is going to participate in everything.
Yeah.
So instead of having a holiday party, go bowling. I
Yeah,
think people
right.
bowl,
Yeah.
or do something more generic
Right, right.
that you could have everyone involved. The social aspect, sometimes I think employees see it as trying to build loyalty to the company.
Mm-hmm.
So they will have these social activities and, engage the employees outside of the workplace to participate in these kind of activities. They'll have baseball
Right.
teams and, all kinds of things. But it is a fine line.
Well, it is, and I think it's incumbent upon management, though, when you're in those roles, if you have people on your staff who are maybe not participating, because a lot of the direction is taken from management and your role. But if you take the position that, oh no, Jim's not coming, but his kid has a game today, or he's been working so many hours and he's got to spend time with the family too. You set that. You make your other team members understand that they're not to be ostracized, and I've done that. Because I have been the Jim in the past who had family obligations, and once I worked a certain number of hours, I know I've got to divert some attention to my household. So I've been in that role, and so I'm always very sensitive to people being shunned or made to feel like they're not a team player or less than because they don't want to participate in these after-hours events.
Yeah,
And so I think as managers, you have to be aware of that. Be aware of the tone that you're setting, the role, your role modeling in terms of what you're letting people see, how you respond. But if you get an attitude and you buy into, he's not a team player, he could have come, if you start allowing that, then you're going to start seeing a breakdown, and you may actually think that what you're doing is positive. You're breaking your own team down. And when you turn on them, they'll start turning on you. And I see that. I've seen that throughout my years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I would say yes to that. And the thin line that we don't want to cross is when it comes to activities or events or just behaviors that are discriminatory.
Right.
Then we've crossed the line. If we start making having religious activities in the workplace and we expect everyone to participate. No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't happen. But you do have workplaces where that is what their brand is about. It's a workplace that really is serious about the religion that they're involved and engaged in. And that may not be the organization for you.
Right. And you have to think about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to think about
Yeah.
that. You definitely have to think about that.
Yeah. So I tell you, we have touched on a lot of different subjects today. We've talked about really branding and brand excellence, and even some relationships and trying to manage and navigate in the workplace. So what we're going to do at this point, if you have some last minute points that you want to share for listeners that might be of some value, feel free to share those now. And if not, we'll wrap up. No pressure at all.
I have one thought. I would just leave our audience with live your professional life purpose. Go into the workplace with a clear purpose for being there, what you want to accomplish, how you want to be perceived, what you want to contribute. Go there with a purpose.
That's very good.
And to piggyback on that, go there with a purpose, but try not to miss an opportunity that comes your way. So that's being observant and again going with a purpose. And when I say try not to miss an opportunity, I always, and I've mentioned this to Lou, I always look, regardless of what position I'm in.
You told me that. She told me that.
I always look.
She's always looking.
I always look, and I mean, it's better to look while you
That's right.
gainfully employed than when you're not, because then that desperation comes into play, and that's not a good thing. But
So even if you're happy in your position,
even
look,
when you're happy,
Lorraine used to tell me that.
even when you're happy, just go out there. And now we have the internet. Just go out there, you
See
know.
what's
And I'm
there.
not saying doing it every day, but you know, maybe once, twice, 3 times a year. Just go out there. Always keep your resume cleaned up. That's number one. Always look, and you never know. I have been hired in a position. I was hired in a position that I went for an interview, and it was just so casual that I didn't want the job. But I was offered the job, and they gave me more money than I was making.
Wow.
It was a job that, okay, I'll take it. But always, try not to miss an opportunity. And that goes back to what Lillian said. Go in with a purpose, but also have that in the back of your mind that I'm here where I am now, but you never know, I may end up somewhere else. So,
That's good.
you know, always have that in the back of your mind that I don't want to miss an opportunity. So be prepared.
Right. That's good. That's good. Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much. And thank you, listeners, for joining in. We look forward to the next episode. Thank you, Lorraine and Lillian. Again, that's it for us today here at Earrings Off. And you know,
When we know better, we do better.
thanks. Have a good day.